you a social media manager or a social media strategist? Now that's the question. And perhaps you're not quite sure which role you fit into, and that's why I created today's video. In today's video, I am breaking down exactly what each role contains so that you can figure out which role is better for you. Hey, my name is Mil and I own a multi-six-figure social media agency, and I now help social media managers do the same. Don't forget to grab my free guide to my proven and tested ChatGPT prompts just for social media managers that is linked in the description below. Now let's dive right in. Now, before we go into comparing the two, we need to really break down what each role entails. The social media manager versus a social media strategist. Now let's focus on the social media manager. A social media manager is really focused on the day-to-day tasks of a social media platform. They're heavily involved into anything that's going on with the social media platforms, and they are true executors. So they often execute a social media strategy that is created by the social media strategist. And of course, they play a very important role because they are constantly inside of the social media accounts. Now, I also like to refer to the social media manager as the front line of the social media presence. And that's why they are so crucial. And a lot of people end up hiring social media managers. Now, let's look at what the role of a social media strategist is. A social media strategist looks at the bigger picture of a social media presence. They really look at how they can get a social media presence from A to Z. Now, social media strategists in their role do not necessarily execute a strategy that a manager would. They don't necessarily are in the accounts, but they're often also hired on a consultation basis to create strategies for companies in order to grow and achieve the goals that they have with organic social media. Now, of course, the social media strategist is also a key role that can't be missing, and they really go hand in hand. They either work together with another social media manager or they have a social team that they work with hand in hand. And again, very important role that both of these positions have. But the key difference is one is the executor and the other is the visionary. Now, if you are an aspiring social media strategist, then I have a treat for you because I have opened, soft launched, a waitlist to my certification, a 6-week strategy bootcamp that is launching very soon. More information to come, but you can join the waitlist right now in the description below. Now, the second thing I'm breaking down for each of the roles that we just established is their responsibilities. Because in their roles, they will have completely different responsibilities. So let's take a social media manager. They're the front line, they're in the account, and they are responsible for creating content, publishing, scheduling content, managing the community, and monitoring the account overall and what's going on, right? So these are the very key responsibilities. And again, this can vary from social media manager to social media manager, but these are in general the average roles that they would oversee. Again, very important for them to be involved in the community because they need to have very strong communication skills, right? Responding to people that reach out to them on behalf of the business, creating content that is creative, compelling to the audience. It is all these key elements that are inside of the social media platform. Now, from the social media team, a social media manager spends the most time inside the accounts and on the platforms. And so they need to have a really good idea of what is going on with the algorithm, with the platform, and what they're seeing overall with the account happening. Now, let's dive into the social media strategist and their responsibilities. They are responsible for creating an actual social media strategy that gives the business owner clarity and the team, if you will, clarity and a clear game plan on how to get their social media presence from A to Z. Now, this requires them to do market research, interpret data. They really need to have a good understanding of analyzing data and seeing patterns to make strategic decisions. So those are two key differences between the manager and the strategist. Now, because social media strategists look at the bigger picture, they will align the business goals and marketing goals with the social media goals that the social media manager can then be tracking. So these are your KPIs, your key performance indicators, so that the social media manager and the team overall knows exactly what to measure on a monthly basis when it comes to the performance of the social media presence and the content that is then created by the social media manager. Now, we have now discussed the key roles that the social media manager and strategist have. We have discussed their responsibility. So now let's look at their skill sets. In order to support these roles, what kind of skill sets would you need in order to excel in your position? Now, as a social media manager, biggest thing, you need to be very creative, right? That is a key skill that a social media manager has, as they're constantly coming up with new creative ideas based on the strategy created that aligns with the brand. But it's constantly coming up with new content and staying creative, as well as on top of trends. So that brings me to my next point, as one of their skill sets is staying on top of industry trends. So that they spend so much time inside the platform, they need to see what's going on and keeping up to date with everything that's happening in the social media world. Another third thing, and that really is required in the skill set of a social media manager, is strong communication skills. Again, you are the front line. You are likely responding and engaging with potential customers, so you need to have great communication skills in order to do that. Those are three key skill sets that a social media manager must have. Now then, looking at the social media strategist, they have a completely different skill set from the social media manager, right? They're the ones that work with the numbers, they interpret data, they spot patterns. So you have to be really good with your numbers and data. Again, some people may not even want to look at those type of things. They don't enjoy it. They just want to do the creative side of things that a social media manager does, right? So those are two different skill sets. Interpreting data and making strategic decisions based on what is going on. So it's not a guessing game, right? They know exactly what's happening, and it's easy for them to spot patterns, to know what's going on the social media presence, to then improve on the performance. So again, if you are not one to interpret data and are not very good with the numbers, or maybe you don't enjoy it, then you probably wouldn't enjoy the strategy side of social media management, which is totally okay too. Now, if you're new here and you haven't downloaded my free download to tested and proven ChatGPT prompts, then make sure you do so in the description below. Now, if you stayed all the way till the end, then you now know the key differences between a social media manager and a social media strategist. Now, of course, as you've probably figured out in this video, one is not necessarily better than the other, but a social media presence needs both. They need both strategy and management. Now, what you will see is that some social media strategists are also managers, and managers can be strategists, right? But it depends on your skill sets and the type of services you want to offer. And this doesn't mean you have to offer both. You can be a strategist that only offers strategy, consultation, and is really solely the strategist. And then you can be a manager that only offers the execution, the management side of things, and you just want to be creative and provide content for clients. That is totally okay too. But these are two key differences. So if the strategy side of things is something you want to learn and get certified in, then make sure you sign up for my waitlist to the 6-week strategy bootcamp in the description below. And I will see you next week in a new video.